This week, Trump and Elon have been fighting, which leaves a little fella named JD Vance right in the middle of it. Poor little JD. I love the meme of his tiny, shrunken face. This one says, well, does this mean I get two Christmases?
Oh man, it is the big beautiful beef.
It's so good.
It's the big beautiful beef. The memes have been flowing, and I think we're going to talk through those memes on this show, Jessica. You're referring to one right now. We all know it. His face is tiny. His beard is neck bound,
Elon
and
and Trump fighting. It's like he's the divorced kid of two parents who can't get it together. And of course his little kid brain's like, does this mean I get two Christmases? Because Vance isn't gonna pick one or the other. He's gonna stay in
mm,
the middle like he always does. But basically, since Musk's dramatic exit from the Trump administration, the fallout and the commentary on social media has been hilarious. We've got Truck Schumer, huh?
Truck Schumer, man,
Truck
dude, keep
Schumer
that
just
one.
trucking along. He's saying the people are aroused, and of course, Stephanie Tyler posts on X users today. So we want to go through all these really really great memes we can review.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's so many. The internet blew up. I felt like the Michael Scott meme when I saw this all dropping. Of course, Trump beefing with Elon Musk. We've all seen it right now, but we're going to consume a little bit more of that content. When it was first popping off, I was like, "Oh my god, guys, it's happening! The richest man alive and our worst person ever are officially having a messy, nasty breakup." And I feel all kinds of ways about it, including, in some ways, good and hopeful.
Yeah, yeah, and this user Evan Loves Wharf summarized the beef as Trump. Elon is annoying and his cars suck. Elon. Trump is a pedophile who I knowingly supported. That's pretty much a summary of what's been said back and forth. But many users aptly pointed out that they can't believe Elon and Trump broke up during Pride Month. The
Of
first
all
week of
months,
Pride Month, their bromance is over. One of
of
my
all months.
favorites describing the beef, Joe Biden. It was like 15 9/11s.
You know what? I feel like Joe Biden would say that about a lot of things. I feel like 5911s is how Joe Biden describes just a normal week in his life at
Yeah.
this point, maybe.
I mean, this is a real thing Joe Biden said. I can't remember, honestly, if he was describing October 7th or if he was describing COVID. I think he was describing October 7th.
Ah, yeah, makes sense. 15911s.
But everyone's saying, what's Elon going to do now? Now that he's out of Trump's orbit, he's not getting that attention. Some are speculating that he might go woke. Elon's going to rubber band to a kind of wokeness never before seen in the human race. Elon in 1 week. Nancy Pelosi in the kente cloth, kneeling.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
my favorite. Shout out to Dan Toomey of Good Work. We got the Kente cloth there. We expect Elon to be joining at any time. What else we got in this meme train?
Well, I keep saying Andy Cohen needs to get in the Oval Office and, mitigate any sort of beef. Andy Cohen is from the Real Housewives franchise. He is the person at the end of the season that moderates a full-fledged just argument among everyone on the cast of Real Housewives. And he posted, "Let me host the reunion."
This is I need some help here. So this is the meme, right, where they're like screaming like this, like they're screaming in the it's
Yes.
that one.
They're always
Yeah.
yelling at each other.
Yeah,
And Andy's just in the middle.
that's what this felt like. I do feel like we need maybe what's his name? The New York Times, or not, the New Year's Eve guy, Carson Daly.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get him and Anderson Cooper just like really blasted on mimosas to announce the
Oh,
next
yeah.
phase of this fight.
Yeah, and it's crazy because this is the richest man in the world and the president of the United States of America by some metrics, the two most powerful people on earth. And for some reason Andy Cohen moderating their reunion feels right.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we do live in the reality TV show. You elect a reality TV president, and then you get the next season of American Decline, and what a season it is. A new Smang piece has entered the villa.
Yeah. Now we have look at this, John.
Please.
Uh those white South Africans are getting sent to El Salvador.
Oh, how the turns have tabled. Special shout out to this meme from the handle Peter Twinklage.
I love
Just
that on Pride Month that this is coming from Peter Twinklage.
Peter Twinklage, great time. You know what is really surprising to me that we have not had a resurgence of the Senate twink during Pride Month. I feel like that is kind of an abomination. But it's a month long, so I guess there's still time.
Key part of gay history. It's gonna go in the history books. This is hilarious because obviously, like the white South Africans that were being pushed out of their country, crazy narrative, totally not true, has been debunked over and over and over again. As someone who lived in South Africa, this is not happening. However, hilarious that this is like totally Elon's thing, and he gets Trump to be involved with it and enraged by it. And now that Elon's gone, they don't care about anyone migrating to the US. The idea that they're going to send the white South Africans they brought into El Salvador, comedy gold.
Yeah, these South Africans are like, shit, Twitter, man. Can't be
Related
doing
to
this to
this.
us.
Yeah, right? Um, this next one also on the same front. This is Julius Malema in this photo giving a speech. Everyone's dancing and shouting. They said Trump's foreign policy by tomorrow morning. So Julius Malema and the EFF would like Africa to belong to Black Africans who natively live there. That's like central to his politics. So I just love this discourse.
The coverage of this massive blow up and all of its implications, which are pretty huge, I think appropriately is being captured in meme form. We really have come full circle. And JJ Nash, welcome to the show. It might be a different little format here, but you know what? This one's built for YouTube. So you got to go over to our YouTube channel where all these memes are going to be listed. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
We're not even done yet.
For anyone who's new here, this is typically an audio focused podcast. We do YouTube also because, we have these graphics sometimes. Usually we can describe them well. They're much better if you can view this. So this is one that if you can, watch us on YouTube to catch the full effect.
Yeah.
I also just saw a stand-up of someone who is African saying Donald Trump is like an African president. Oh, corruption. I feel so at home in Trump's America with all of this corruption. The speeches he gives, how ridiculous he is. They're like, it's just like an African president. And so him being compared to Julius Malema, that he could, something Trump would say is, you know what, I thought about it and Elon was wrong and Africa should belong to the Africans. Like his political message could be the same as Julius Malema. Genuinely, he would say that.
Yeah, this is a real moment, in moments where the people influencing what goes into Trump's eyes and ears change radically. I feel like this is our moment to really strike, because this guy could just completely rearrange global politics, depending on who's in his ear right now. And Elon's, taking a hike. So who's it going to be? I don't know. What's in store for us?
And while there's many of us who have been taking this beef with a light heart and just laughing at the people who are in charge, some people really look up to Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And it's been a really hard week for these people, and they are struggling to cope. One of these people is Jack Pozo, who posted, "Some of y'all can't handle two high agency males going at it," and it really shows. This is direct communication, phallocentric versus indirect communication, gynocentric. I understand you aren't used to it. Now, I don't know if this is a parody account, but there are so many tweets like this that some of them are real.
Yeah,
this sentiment is out there in the hearts and minds of young Americans.
It's giving, hey, baby girl, you see the watch? 4 figures.
I'm a high agency male. Listen up, liberal. No one who is high value, high agency would ever describe themselves in that way.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's like, I don't know what to say to these people, but they are coping on the internet, and there's a lot to cope about.
Also, like, some of you can't handle it. No, we're handling it by responding to it with memes. That's how we're handling it.
Smashing retweet.
Yeah. And apparently on Fox News, it was a bit of a meltdown, according to Hassan Piker, who posted, "Fox News is finally covering the Elon Trump fallout, and they sound like their two gay dads are divorcing." Apparently the same kind of copiage going on there.
tragic. We even have Kanye weighing in here. One of my favorites. When you know Kanye is trying to step in as a voice of moderation, things have gotten really messy, and he's in here with a tweet that says, "Bros, please no," hugging emoji. We love you both so much. 12.3 million views
No.
of Cope.
No, stop fighting. Um, Jesse Waters on Fox News was like, basically, oh, it's like when you and your buddy fight, and like because you slept with his girlfriend, and so you
Yeah.
fight, and then you're all better. It's like, Jesse, not everyone has the same kind of friendships as you, I don't think, brother.
Yeah, bro, you got to go get a therapist. Maybe like get some better help. This is that you don't air that on the 8 o'clock hour, right before Ingram or wherever you are in the lineup.
That's just how high agency males have relationships, John.
Yeah, you got to mediate your friendships through your Fox News show. Potentially maybe even get up to the defense secretary level and add some alcohol and do it in a group chat, maybe. I don't know.
I really love the context this one gives. Elon called Trump a pedophile, thus revealing he knowingly supported and befriended a pedophile, and only said something when he thought it would make him money.
I like the follow up to this where he basically admitted to buying the presidency also. This is not a meme that we have on here, but like
It's
here we
later
have
on. It's later on. It's not a meme. It's just a post.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's
How could I
real.
forget?
Yeah, we'll get into that. But I mean, what this past tweet is referring to is Elon saying, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files." He tags Donald Trump's username. That's the real reason they've not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT.
Yeah, love that. Throws it
That
out
was a
into the
big bomb.
internet. Yeah, great truth, Brown. Throw it out on the social media platform that you own. Um, Epic. What else we got in here? We got some big, beautiful Bill stuff.
Yeah, he is using this to drive traffic to X, but like the beef really became it's serious beef. Elon Musk, who came from the administration, is saying, "I'm sorry, I can't stand it anymore. This massive outrageous pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
You know it. You know it. Guy with the chainsaw, guy with the entire department dedicated to this exact proposition being kicked out, and like, you know what? All of this is bullshit.
Yeah, I don't support any of it. You know what? Never mind. I know I just said I was all in it. As soon as they're not friends with me, suddenly I disagree with everything they're doing. It's like, come the fuck on, Elon.
Oh, Doge will
Really?
continue, he says with a black eye on a ketamine in a K-hole from the Oval Office. With
And
the news cycle's too much. It is going too fast. I cannot have, I'm sorry, I cannot have Donald Trump in the White House with Elon Musk standing next to him, clearly tripping on drugs with a black eye like 2 days ago, and then sending a tweet about how Donald Trump's in the Epstein files and the bill is made of pork. What the hell is going on?
I think this happened partially because you had all of those stories about him using ketamine, people leaking from Trump's White House saying this is what Elon is actually like when you're around him. Because they tried to make this separation amicable. Elon Musk posted, this was May 28th. "As my scheduled time as special government employee comes to an end, I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The Doge mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life throughout the government."
That was
Donald
like
Trump reposted that. They tried to end it amicably.
that was like 2 years ago, right? How
It
many days ago was
feels
that?
like it. That was 1 week ago.
I can't.
Yeah, yeah, about a week ago.
I simply cannot.
And fast forward, the easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it. That's Trump on Truth Social. He has since deleted it, but I took that screenshot myself. I saw it on his Truth Social page. I can tell you it is real. It came from his account.
I did see you repost that with you know what? Hell yeah, comment.
Yeah, he's right. Why does this guy have so many government contracts? He doesn't deserve them.
Dude, and just another note on this that I saw like floating around the internet. This is what happens when you surrender public services to the control of weird K-hole billionaires. There was like the rocket program with some amount of significance to our space exploration efforts that Elon Musk is like, you know what, Donald Trump, I'm going to cancel this entire space program because we're beefing on the internet, on Twitter.
You know what happened? I mean, I made a hugely viral video about Elon Musk and how he came to rise as the CEO of these businesses through fraudulent behavior. I mean, when he got the largest government grant that you had to apply and bid for and prove you had some capability to make an electric vehicle. So you have like a lot of the major vehicle manufacturers, Ford, GM, all of the big guys, the big three were all up in there trying to get this
Big
contract.
guys.
And Elon lied and said they were much farther along than they really were with their contract, and then said, I already have this investment from this major investor, and then said that on his government grant application, told that investor he already had the government grant money coming in. And so, because they both believed the other one was giving the money and that Elon was in a place where he deserved it and could put it to use to manufacture these vehicles, he got the grant. He wasn't ready. Tesla's driving capacity is nowhere near what other vehicles are getting, even today, even with that push and that head start. So he must have been way behind the other manufacturers at this point in time that he got the money. It's just straight up fraud. And then he was like, this is easy. I'm going to start like 3 other businesses to get these contracts.
Did this is why, like, more and more I'm just like, you have to take these people's money, is my position. And not because it's like they have too much money. It's not even that, which is true. They do have too much money. But it's the power that you get at this level of billionaire where, it's just constantly accumulating. And this happens at a low level. I mean, someone like Elon Musk has triple digit billions in their net worth. We're supposed to run this country like ordinary people, of, by, for the people. You become a threat to that, like, systemically and continuously, once you're past a point of like triple digit millions. Okay. And this guy, just like you said, because of the power that much money concentrated in one person's hands gives him, he can just, lie. Like, you can't lie on a government application and just get preferential treatment. He can. You just laid this out. We had a More Perfect Union person, shout out to Sam Black, who just did a story on the data center that Elon Musk is putting in Memphis. Right in the middle of a marginalized community that has been subject to pollution forever. There's clusters of health problems among the people down there, and in comes Elon Musk and says, I'm just going to build a data center here. And the crazy thing about that is data centers take a ton of power, and instead of going through the regulatory process to supply this data center with power like everybody else would have to do who doesn't have triple digit billions to their name, Elon Musk did not pull any EPA permits and effectively built all of these gas turbines, natural gas power plants. There's like little modular power plants. He built like 35 of them. This is a huge power plant with no regulation. And he just did it because he's the richest man alive who is intertwined with our federal government up until like a couple days ago. And it's a great argument for why you have to roll back the money and power of these billionaires, because we see it on display exactly like this right now.
Yeah, they have to produce these earnings reports. Tesla does, because they're publicly traded, and a lot of the profit, actually, the only months that Tesla's been profitable, they made their money from carbon credits. Something that the Big Beautiful Bill did was take away clean energy tax credits. And so, if selling not cars but carbon credits is how Tesla's making money, this was a major hit to Elon and Tesla. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, he's kind of an idiot for paying to get this guy in office who is actively dismantling and supports an agenda and a party of people who support dismantling how Elon makes his money.
Yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, Jessica, he really should have poured even more millions into that Wisconsin Supreme Court race. You remember
Mhm.
that? You know, he was out
Yeah.
there waving around the Price Waterhouse Coopers checks, and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna buy off Wisconsin, and it's gonna be the keystone to this crazy court takedown, right?" And
Yep.
then he lost, and Trump was like, "I'm gonna kick this loser out of my life. I'm gonna destroy him on the internet. I'm gonna cancel all
Mhm.
those contracts." That's where this started, you know, and here we are. How far
Yeah.
we've come.
Yeah, supposedly Elon wants to start a new party. He ran a poll to his Twitter followers and said, "Should I start a new party?" And 80% said yes. And now he's tweeting like that means 80% of America said yes. I'm sorry, but Elon
Totally.
Musk's 290 million Twitter followers are not all American. They also don't represent Americans because many of them are bots. Um, but he's saying this is the America Party, and people in the middle have spoken. They want a new party that I'm gonna lead. You're not even from here.
This is a party of 290 million porn bots. I swear to God, in a year we will be governed by the porn bot to rule them all.
Porn bots don't vote. I'm gonna get a bumper sticker.
That's the first piece of JJ Nash merch. Porn bots don't vert.
Don't vert. They're not voting for any of this. But yeah, I think that the funniest part of this beef has been what people are saying about it, because these two are not relatable. They're not funny, and that's why this tweet hit so hard for me. This is like Kendrick versus Drake, but with two Drakes.
Oh, put it in the middle of the
It's
Super
good.
Bowl, baby. Come on. We need
It's
this.
really good.
We need it.
Um, And then I really love this as someone who never left X. Lots of people left X as some sort of protest of Elon Musk, as Elon's one of his number one haters on the internet. I did not. I'm in there. I'm in there consuming the toxic shit every day. And then I feel like this past week, people came over from Blue Sky and from Threads to see what was
Like,
happening. I'm
whoa, what's
sorry,
going on in here?
if you want to enjoy it today, you've got to be there at making every other day just as fun with the rest of us. You can't just show up on a holiday to see your family. You have to show up on a regular basis for regular visits. But I think about this a lot. I didn't check to see if it was true, but someone posted, I thought it was a joke and a funny one. They're on Blue Sky arguing whether it's sexist to make the girls are fighting jokes.
Yeah, it's very Blue Sky coded. And you know what? Shout out to you, Jessica. You really put in a yeoman like performance assembling all of these tweets. And I said, where did you get all of these tweets? And you let me into the horrors that is your Twitter timeline. I refuse to call it X. I never left, but mine, you know, I don't get on there. I don't root around a lot. I kind of lurk in the shadows. Still a garbage factory, but I was really astounded with the deftness that you assembled all of these tweets with, and I'm a little bit concerned.
I'm in there every day scrolling, making
Oof.
sure that I am shown the most rotten brain rot,
Yeah,
the absolute shittiest shit posts. I have put in the work interacting with that algorithm, so I get these S tier tweets when it's a Twitter holiday, like it's been the past week over this beef.
you know, journalists must bear witness, and you got both eyes wide open on the dumpster fire. Credit.
Of course, there were some major failures on my feed. This tweet came to me as a quote tweet. I will say Chuck Schumer doesn't show up on my feed, but his intern probably posted Siri play Bad Blood.
No, it's actually from Chuck Schumer. Man,
It's his official account.
this is like when you drop your popsicle in like some freshly mown grass. You know, is it? I don't know. That just came out of my brain. I'm trying to articulate what I really feel looking at this tweet, which is Chuck Schumer's official Twitter account playing, saying Siri play Bad Blood, and it's getting me. I like it. Weird feelings about it coming from Chuck Schumer, you know, because it's so quality from a guy who I expect to, you know, at least be shaking a cane at me when he's saying this, or attending a rally with himself and like seven other old and dying leaders of the Senate. But you know what? Credit where it's due. Chuck Schumer got that gas. Broken clock's right twice a day.
I found this based on a quote tweet. This is what it says. No, you don't get to have fun about this. Because what are you doing, Chuck Schumer? On a regular basis, because Trump always chickens out, you over here is making
I
him
can't.
upset, so you make sure the Dems have a taco truck outside, and the tacos look like the worst tacos I've ever seen.
That
It's
was
just
bad.
the most cringe thing to have Chuck Schumer chiming in like he should be a part of this conversation.
And you know what? Those tacos, like really similar to Chuck Schumer and his like performance of opposition through this, they were a little bit like those tacos in that they weren't, if correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they were like the white people tacos with like lettuce and like sour cream and tomatoes, right? They didn't have
Mm-hmm.
those on there. They were like authentic tacos, but there was like one key element missing. It was just a raw corn or flour tortilla that had like not been browned enough. And I was like, you got so close and then you fucked it up right at the end. What's going on here? And I feel like that's very Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, it's very like um I don't know, like when your parents try to repeat the joke that you and your friends have been saying back to you and you're like, "No,
Um,
don't say that.
I have to
That's
move
not
out.
for you." That's how I feel when Chuck Schumer chimes in on the internet discourse. Um I do believe the prediction that Elon is going woke is going to be partially correct. We already saw him tweet that he thinks solar energy is the future. Huge divergence from the Trump plan. He says he's going to repair the economy through his plan of what? Drill, baby, drill. The energy is going to come from under your feet. He said this over and over and over again. Obviously, he wants fossil fuels to be the future. Elon's right. I mean, Elon's correct that the return on investment for clean energy is huge. I mean, you build the solar panels, the sun's there until it burns up. It's
Sun's free,
kind
baby.
of a no-brainer. Like, why are we polluting the air and the earth for energy? So this is like an interestingly large divergence. Just like days within him leaving the White House, he's posting about fucking solar again.
I mean, let this be a lesson. You cannot trust anything anybody in the ruling class says. They're just going to lie to you to get rich. That's how they got rich the first time. Mark Zuckerberg was like worth $2 billion, I don't know, in 2012 or something like that. And he's like, oh, Facebook's going to connect everybody. It's going to be so great. This is going to be good for all of you. And then it was like, oh my God, all the white supremacists got together. They'll like, they're not going to act in the public interest, and they're definitely going to lie about not acting in the public interest. And like, here we are, we see these people just completely abandoning the thing that they said they were going to be like rock solid on. And now, Elon's here with a total pivot. We're going to see the same from Trump. Steve Bannon's going to take over in the place of where Elon Musk is. They have no principle. They never did. Just let that be another reminder in this moment.
Yeah, I think that like everything these billionaires do is so incredibly self-serving. Like Elon Musk obviously is not just posting this because he thinks solar energy should be the future and he cares about the longevity of the American energy grid. He's posting about this because this is a talking point to get clean energy tax credits back so he can continue profiting at Tesla. Like that's what this is about. For everyone that's an oligarch associated with Donald Trump, they're pushing him to support fossil fuels because they have a ton of stock in oil companies or they own them. Like it's not that much more complicated. Everyone's always talking about the secret elites and their secret agenda. Their agenda is to accumulate as much money as possible so they can have a comfortable life and be as powerful as possible. They're right there. It's right in front of our faces. We don't have to imagine some secret scenario or secret group. We see
Yeah,
their names in the news.
Yeah, I feel like there's a widely held public opinion that like, oh, billionaires have their money because they innovated and they just like built a better widget. But we're actually seeing billionaire innovation as it is in reality right now, which is just like
Yeah.
throwing their power around on Twitter, like breaking up with the president to try to get your green energy subsidies back, like totally just building walls around shit that makes you money just by raw power. And the thing is, this has been going on forever over the entire time that the 800 or whatever billionaires in America have been accumulating their wealth. It's just that everybody else was like way more subtle and smart about it. And these people are actually idiots. They like have this veneer of, being a genius just by the incredible amounts of money that have accrued to them. When in reality it's a crapshoot, and you get a little bit of money and then it becomes a lot of money, and then you break up with your friend and he threatens your energy credits, and then you got to go out on Twitter to fucking say whatever it takes to get him back. And that's how billionaire wealth accumulation, earning $1 billion, and that's what the true genius is. We're just seeing it for what it is.
And it can definitely be categorized as like traditional power in the world being threatened by capital, right? Elon has a ton of power because he has so much money. Trump has a ton of power because he has political will thanks to these traditional structures of the nation state, right? And so right now Elon is gone, and he's totally crashing out because he's like, I should still have all this power. What do you mean I don't have this power and influence anymore? Because Trump could so quickly take it away, and he's getting frustrated. And I don't think he likes that. And I think he would rather power be determined by how much money you have or how many likes your tweet gets. And Trump is over there like, I don't think about him at all. He only posted like twice about Elon this day that Elon blew up the entire X atmosphere over it.
It get
And
to me.
yeah, when Trump's asked, like, how do you feel about what's going on? He told ABC on a phone call Friday at 7 a.m. That when asked, do you have a call with Musk later today, like reports say, he said, um, do you mean the man who has lost his mind?
I've never heard of him. Who is Elon?
Devastating.
I didn't save your number.
Devastating breakup.
And then what's a donor baby up to? We haven't talked about JD Vance in a while. Has he found new dads?
2 Christmases for JD, but
He's at Uncle's house.
Elon Musk posted a photo of JD Vance. We were begging him to post. There were so many people that were like, JD, say something, say something, say something. Chime in on the drama. He posts him and Theo Vaughn sitting on a couch. He went on the Theo Vaughn podcast and he said, slow news day. What are we even going to talk about? Elon reposts it with a laughing face, which kind of signals he and Vance are cool.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's like this is going to be so interesting because I think billionaires made JD Vance. That's why he's here. Peter Thiel has been angling for power so successfully. If Elon Musk is like the kingfish of all of these Silicon Valley tech bros, right behind him is Peter Thiel, the guy who owns Palantir, who has been getting all of these crazy defense contracts, who has been trying to construct the surveillance capitalism database to end them all. For all you gun nut preppers out there who don't want your guns on a federal list, well, this guy knows what you got. He made JD Vance. I think they're all looking at him as the magician that can replace Trump, but with like more predictability, right? The guy who can do the impossible, glue, a broke blue collar dude to the richest people on earth and put them in the same coalition. Looking at JD Vance sitting with Theo Vaughn, is he the guy who's able to do that? I have my doubts.
It's a good point. I think yeah, whether or not JD Vance was the right guy to groom and pick is an interesting thing to think about. But what happened was basically JD Vance was known for being the working class guy from Hillbilly Elegy. He was kind of folksy. He was a real threat to this kind of billionaire power in America that the elites rule the country. So of course they're like, maybe we should pipe that down, this brand of populism that empowers working people. Maybe we should offer JD Vance a ton of money to make him our darling. And that's exactly what Peter Thiel did. So this group of tech elites, where Elon Musk is included, are frustrated with the amount of power that someone like Donald Trump has organically, politically. They would like to buy power. Peter Thiel bankrolled JD Vance's campaign for Senate, $15 million. It was the the largest amount of money ever given to a single Senate candidate. That is why JD Vance has political power. So, this is what Joni Ascola wrote on X. In the coming days and weeks, expect more calls from Musk and other techno-fascist oligarchs for Trump's impeachment. This is a part of a broader strategy as they own JD Vance and they're positioning him for the presidency to complete their takeover of the United States of America.
It is a classic application of a fundamental rule in politics, which is that you want potential enemies inside of your tent pissing out instead of outside of your tent pissing into it. So the way you do that with an old bumpkin like JD Vance, by the way, I say this from Wheeling, West Virginia, having grown up in Appalachia myself, having emailed JD Vance when his book came out before Trump was elected to ask who hurt him. This guy was never the real deal, which is why he sold out his culture that he writes about and pretends to uphold in a book so quickly to techno-fascist overlords. You know, the guy wants power and definitely forgot where he came from, if he ever cared about that at all. You know, he had roots down in eastern Kentucky, moved out to Middletown, Ohio. That's more, not to reduce the Rust Belt problems of Middletown, Ohio, but to say that he's representative of what people are going through in Appalachia is definitely not true now, if it ever was.
Right. And the idea that Elon Musk could somehow step in without even having working class roots to even prop him up, insane. He's not even American, okay? Now, I get that he's lived here for a while, but there's this problem where the Constitution says you have to be an American to run for office. So is he just going to start a party as a foreigner? It's really unclear, like, what the legal ramifications are if you try to do this. But nevertheless, he reposted someone making the case for his vision to dismantle the establishment and start his own party. He's proposed the America Party. It resonated with 80.4% of respondents. That's just Elon's fucking followers. Of course they like him. They cited that Gallup shows 43% of Americans claim to be independent, rejecting both parties. Among independents, 56 view Elon favorably. Let's just start there. I'm sorry. So you think of 43% of Americans getting 56% of them, we're dealing with a fourth of the politically active Americans when only a third of Americans vote. This is such a small fraction of America that actually supports Elon and is politically active. This is not a great start to a party, but they're talking about it to people who don't understand statistics or math, who just don't care to because they just love Elon. They're not going to look into it. And so that's just really fucking insane because obviously a billionaire is not going to be the person that Americans connect with.
Not this one. I mean, Donald Trump might pull it off, but that is an outlier. And, another cardinal rule of politics, people need to know your name and like you. People know Elon Musk's name. They don't like Elon Musk. I go out and for a career with More Perfect Union, I go out into pockets of Trump country and give people the mic and ask them to tell me how they feel in their own words. And a lot of the times they're very sold on Donald Trump. We asked the same question about Elon and everyone was like, Trump kind of brought him to the party, but he's like he's in a K-hole over by the punch. He's sticking his fingers in the guac. We're like, we're like, he's fucking weird. I don't know. He's with our friend, but now he's not, and this is going to fail.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's a totally accurate read. Yeah. And he's using this all to push this narrative now. Like he realized, okay, it worked. Everyone's on X paying attention to me. And then he immediately pivoted to talking about this. Let's look at this tweet. Okay, first we have Grok saying current U.S. government spending appears unsustainable long term. In 2025, the deficit is 1.9 trillion. Debt at 98% of GDP, projected to hit 118% by 2035, interest costs, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they outpace, the major funding coming in. This is Grok, right? The AI developed to have biases towards Elon's programming. Whatever he has told Grok to think, Grok thinks. Okay, let's start there. Then he reposts his own AI fed to his biases and says, alarming. It's just insane. Okay, let's talk about what other very wealthy men say about the American deficit, because Elon's talking about it like a catastrophe is looming. And while I agree that the interest we are paying on bonds is unnecessary and should not be happening, and it is too much, the idea that the U.S. government will default is just not true. Warren Buffett himself, who has very different political views to me, said if you print bonds in your own currency, the United States does, what happens to the currency will be the question. But you don't default. The US has been smart to issue debt in its own currency. Meaning, if we had a bunch of people that we were paying out their bonds, we issue those dollars, so we will never default on that debt. We will always have the ability to pay it off. It is a choice, a political choice if we do not.
Yeah, not my typical lane here, but I'm inclined to listen to, Warren Buffett, probably sucking on a dilly bar right now out there in Omaha, sitting on a big ass pile of cash. He seemed to outlast people who burn fast and bright. So I think I'll go with that.
Also, we can imagine where Elon's coming from with this. He's been retweeting a lot, but he retweeted these posts about the debt limit. It's a borrowing limit. It's not a function. It's a rule violated by a weak Congress regularly. Johnson calls the debt ceiling a sort of fictitious, arbitrary thing. Now, Elon reposting this is interesting. So you understand that this is fictitious, arbitrary, something that is regularly violated without consequence. So how can somehow the debt being accumulated be this thing that is crushing the economy and it's going to be horrible for all working Americans, but simultaneously be fake, fictitious, and not real without consequences regularly violated? Those two things can't be true at once. And I really think this is just about Doge failed. Doge was promised to save America $1 trillion. He wasn't able to do that at all. And instead, he made the government less effective. Efficiency is about delivering results with less input. If you have to sacrifice results, having less input is just shrinking something. It's not making it more efficient. And that's what he's done to the US government. He shrunk necessary aspects of the government by firing tens of thousands of employees from the VA. So now veterans can't get their health care. How does that make America better or stronger or more efficient? By ending research into HIV and AIDS right as they've been very close to developing a vaccine for HIV and AIDS. And so this idea that Doge has really, been an effective organization, that's just out the window. And Elon's cope is, well, it's because these guys just passed a huge budget of government spending. So I'm going to bring attention to that problem to distract from the fact that I couldn't do what I said I could do.
And I think this is another thing. It's like we are seeing Elon pivot on a dime. He had positions that he was very strong on. He breaks up with Trump and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. That's all bullshit. And here's my new positions. And I think the way to understand this, if you're just like out there passively consuming politics and you're voting and you're like, what do I believe about the debt? The thing to realize that explains what you're seeing here is we live in a country where there's still there are elections. There are still methods for the public to have input over what their government does. And we have that at a time when we also have a growing class of people with more money than God. And this fundamental tension causes these people who are in the ruling class to make ever more crazy stretches to kind of justify what's happening before your eyes. So they just use that. And so there again, this is a long way of saying they just lie to benefit them however possible, right? They take advantage of the fact that most people are looking at the national debt and they're thinking, man, if my household were spending more money than we were taking in, it would be a real problem for us. And the people in the ruling class use that understanding that they know is out there, um, to cover up all the kind of things that they are manipulating in the background, to line their pockets, right? And that's what explains such a crazy shift like this from people in the position of Elon Musk. They're just taking advantage of people thinking that the United States government is no different than your house. It is. You cannot print money. The United States government can. And they misuse the debt all the time. They've been doing that ever since they put the national debt calculator up on clocks, and you pass by and you're like, oh my God, we must be really cooked here. But really, it's people, taking advantage of things that the public believes for their own benefit.
Yeah, I want to talk about, you know, some reporting that came out from ProPublica on what billionaires are paying in taxes. It's a much lower tax rate, really, than what we pay. There was a leak of IRS data to ProPublica, and I spoke to one of the board members of ProPublica at a time. This was at a dinner that he did not say was off the record, so I feel okay saying this. But I think he even said it in an interview, so it's fine. But the IRS was not okay with ProPublica putting this out. They were like threatening lawsuits and such. And they were like, what are they going to do? We're putting it out anyway, because this really has to do with our democracy. As a country, it's under threat by how much money these guys are accumulating, how quickly they're accumulating it, and that they are not paying taxes. They're manipulating laws in order to be able to accumulate so much money. And the fact that they're not paying taxes means that they're just leeches on our society. But the true tax rate from 2014 to 2018 for the 25 wealthiest Americans, by the way, during that time period, they increased their wealth by $401 billion. So during that same period, they paid a total of $13.6 billion in income taxes. That's a true tax rate compared to their wealth growth of 3.4%. Now,
Are you getting that out there? April was not that long ago. I'm self-employed, and I certainly am not paying that low of a rate.
me either, John. And so now let's also think about what the US national debt is. When the government spends money, they don't have to do this, but they issue bonds to pay for spending that they don't have in revenue in tax money. Now, they sometimes don't do this. Just notably during COVID, they just added dollars to the economy to stimulate it. They can do that. They don't have to issue bonds, but they do. Who can afford to put money into bonds? Not everyday Americans. It's the richest people in our country. Now let's look at what the average 10-year yield on an American bond was around this point in time in 2020, 4.25%. So if the richest people in the world simply just put some of their money sitting aside, they would be able, if they put money into US government bonds, have a return that is larger than the tax rate they pay by just having money sit there and giving it to the Treasury for them to hold. So that's how the US government works. And the fact that Elon is tweeting shit like this, where he describes the United States potentially being driven into debt slavery over this amount of spending. No. When the median income in the United States is $42,220, we are already wage slaves. What do I mean by that? Well, that's $3,518 a month. Median rent and utilities, according to census data, is $1,348. Let's say that money goes to Graystar, a huge corporate landlord. Now you have $2,170 remaining for all of your other needs in that month. Groceries, on average, according to census data as well, or Bureau of Labor Statistics data on the groceries, $832 a month. Now, that money, let's say, goes to the corporation Kroger. Now you have $1,338 remaining. Healthcare, on average, $513 a month. That money goes to United Healthcare Corporation.
Of course.
Now you have $825. Gas is costing Americans $208 monthly. So that money goes to BP. Now you have $313 left. Maybe that's your car note. That money goes to, whoever holds your car note, Capital One. Maybe it's loans and credit card debt from the holidays. That money goes to Capital or JP Morgan Chase. Let's say you have a broken stove. You have to fix that. You have vet bills for your pet, dental bills. You have to get new shoes for the kids, tires for the car. You're going to a friend's wedding. It's your child's birthday party. That money is gone before it comes in. So Elon's saying, oh, we're going to be in debt slavery. He's trying to make Americans think that a part of their monthly nut is going to be paying money to Uncle Sam to cover the debt. It's not. That's not going to happen. And so when most Americans cannot afford their basic needs in this economy and they're working for $42,000 a year, and paying all of that money straight back to the corporations, some of which they work for, people are already living a life that feels like wage slavery. So this billionaire is so out of touch to be like, oh, we're all going to be so economically strapped in America because of this debt. People are already living that, Elon. It's not scary. That's life. That's just life in America now.
I want to say that was an excellent rundown by the numbers of, what I think you just put numbers to like the universal American experience right now. And for most people. And then I think, as you were saying, you're paying your car note, and that's going to a huge bank that got bailed out in 2008 and never really solved the too big to fail problem. And you're paying your health insurance premium to United Healthcare. We all know what that's like. You're even the gas that you're putting in your car is going to these huge corporations, and they're all evading taxes, and they're all paying these rates that are lower than you are paying, going out there and doing all this and living under this system. They're putting that back into the campaign coffers of these people who turn around and then lie about it. It's all like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's a bleak picture. And Elon is saying this like because he wants them to cut more spending. And what's that going to do? I mean, like most of the stuff like Medicaid, that's covering healthcare for people who can't afford to because Walmart isn't giving them enough money that they have money to pay for healthcare, let alone Walmart just straight up giving them the benefit. And Walmart's profiting in the billions, not paying anything in taxes. And so Elon is advocating for a world where the working class is essentially in slavery to big corporations. Elon's building a corporate town in Texas where people are going to work at his factories. So what kind of a world is he really trying to bring out with his political agenda? He's trying to seem like the benevolent billionaire, but he's a eugenicist. He thinks he is way better than everyone else, including his own followers.
Yeah, and another way to think about the spending cuts, it's like, okay, you're going to make a spending cut to Medicare or Medicaid. All right, well, people who are on those programs are going to, instead of, if you cut that away from them, then they're going to have to pay for it somewhere else. And where are they going to pay for it? It's going to be a private company that is associated with the class of people that Elon Musk belongs to. So another word for a spending cut is just a profit boost to wherever you're going to go get the healthcare that they take away from you. That's what's happening here. But it's all guised in the language of, oh, we're trying to save our country from some kind of manufactured debt crisis by cutting this spending. Now, what they actually want to do is take something away from you and then make it so that you have to go to a private company to get what you used to get through a public service. And that's the rift. That's the grift. That's what these people are running, and they've been running it for years. And we got to stop believing in that.
And Elon clearly is salty because, as he replied to one of the tweets, without me, Trump would have lost the election.
There it is.
Would control the House, and Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude.
I love the open admission that the world's richest man from South Africa purchased the American presidency and just put the cherry of such ingratitude on top of it. It's so awesome. It's really great. And once again, you wouldn't have to tweet. You would not have had to write that tweet, Elon, if you would have showed up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court race with a check that was bigger than the $1 million ones that you were waving around to buy that election. Incredible.
Yeah. And so today, the Washington Post has now addressed this. This tweet is from May 30th, but the Washington Post stuff is from today. This is Christy Yamaguchi Main, who said, "This is a black eye delivered by someone who can't throw a punch. And Stephen Miller's wife just left him for Elon Musk. Also, Stephen Miller is left-handed, probably unrelated."
Incredible. Yeah, I don't know if the meme made it in there, but it's like two lobsters fighting, and then like three people just like gathered around and throwing money at them like an old-fashioned cockfighting ring. And that is how I feel about, I don't even care if this is true. Just I salivate at the prospect of the world's worst people beating the shit out of each other while they're in K-holes in the White House. And it's an incredible sight to see here.
And so who actually, hit Elon? So in private, this is according to the Washington Post today, Musk made personal appeals to Trump to reverse the tariffs. Trump didn't comply, only relenting days later after a steep decline in bond markets, which, by the way, happened after he threatened to default on the debt. That's why that happened, not because of tariffs, but whatever. Not long after, Musk's tension with Trump's trade team devolved into blows in an altercation with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. This is according to Stephen Bannon. Now, he's an influential right-wing podcaster, longtime friend of Trump. We know Bannon. Now, Bessent and Musk went into the Oval. They were talking about who the next IRS commissioner should be. Now, Bessent had an idea of who he would like. Musk had his own pick. Trump liked the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent's pick, more. Elon was not happy about this. They left. They're exchanging insults in the hallway, walking down. Eventually, Musk throws his shoulder into Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Then Bessent hits him back, and people try and break these two up. It was described to be like a rugby scrum, and Musk was shuffled out of the West Wing, the presidential, area in the White House. And so apparently the shove came right after Bessent called out Musk for not achieving the $1 trillion in cuts to Doge. He straight up said, "You're a fraud. You're a total fraud," to Elon Musk. But this happened, and there were some rumors about this happening, like, oh, it was Treasury Secretary Bessent who beat up Elon Musk. No, Bannon says this happened in April. So he has a black eye in his Oval Office appearance in late May. That can't be the same black eye from a fight with Scott Bessent in April. This is a new one. And maybe it's Stephen Miller.
Oh, poor Elon. World's richest man is just catching hands from a bunch of the other worst people on earth, I'm so sorry. I'm so sad to see it happen.
And I think he's going to cope by probably buying more ketamine. I don't know. I saw this meme. A certain person's ketamine plug right now. Listen, I always see memes. Like, I'll see a meme of a dog. It's a video. Like, a dog is struggling to go to the bathroom, and this little dog was like, his arms were up, and it was like this. It was very funny. And then the comments are like, "You're an asshole for laughing. Take him to the vet. He's in pain." And I'm like, oh, fuck. I laughed at the dog in pain. That's so true. God damn it. And then I see posts like this, and I'm like, oh, it's totally not okay to like make jokes about substance abuse. But then I'm like, oh my God, but the picture's so funny.
It's so
like,
good.
Imagine Musk buying ketamine from someone who looks like this. Just, oh, it's so funny.
I love it. You did nail the transition, but I'm seeing in the outline here, we can't let this one slide from K-hive to K-hole.
Oh, that is what I titled this. For some reason, I was like, man, thinking about the election, like if Elon didn't get involved, it would have been the K-hive. And we went from K-hive to K-hole.
We can't let that one hang on the vine. You got to pick that low-hanging fruit.
It just
And
came to me.
nibble on that tasty, tasty K-hole fruit, JJ Nage.
Yeah. All right. So we have some other news we want to talk about that is not directly related to the Elon Musk thing because, like anything in America, when you have political news like this, there is always very interesting news that we don't hear about because the beef between Trump and Elon is just crazy and so good. But other shit was happening.
Other shit was happening. Are we talking about the New York City mayoral debate?
Yeah, let's play a clip of this. They basically had to show their loyalty to Israel to be the mayor of New York City.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't,
Okay.
he
Not
won't
as a
say it
Jewish
has
state.
a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on
answer
that.
was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that very
That's what he was
clearly.
trying to say.
No. Unlike
No,
you, I
you
answer,
never-
unlike
you
you, I
never
answer
said
questions
no.
very
Okay.
directly.
All right, I
and
think
I
we're
want to
clear.
be
You
very
answered-
clear. I
you
believe
answered-
every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Blake.
Now, I love this meme. It's so good. It's timeless. In America, you have to deliver a loyalty oath to a foreign genocidal apartheid regime in order to run for mayor of New York City. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. And, this is what the reason why we're getting this, if you don't know, is because anytime somebody who threatens the power of all of the people that we just finished talking about, anytime somebody starts coming up in an election and really threatens their power, you start to see them pull out all of the stops and, the media intervening and asking every single person on stage running to be mayor of New York City if their first foreign trip is going to be to Israel is a strategy by corporate media to take down a candidate who is doing just that, rising up in a grassroots campaign funded by small dollar donors, talking about really shifting power away from billionaires and to people in New York City. I am talking about Zohran Mamdani. If you haven't heard of this candidate, you should be paying attention to his campaign. He's openly allies himself with the Democratic Socialists, and he's running on a working people's agenda that includes freezing rent. He went from 40 points behind when he started this race to most recent polling showing him neck and neck with, wait for it, guess who? Andrew Cuomo. That's right. Fresh out of jail for being a sexual pervert. And now at the top of the people leading the pack for who's going to be mayor of New York City. So anytime somebody comes up there and threatens that, you see these things happen where there's, we hear so much about purity tests of the left and all of this in the strategy to win. And here you have corporate media forcing a purity test of their own, asking a ridiculous question of, are you in your first foreign trip as the mayor of New York City, do you commit to going to Israel? It wasn't that quite that pointed, but the point is there. Obviously, something meant to sink a really promising candidate, but hopefully that doesn't have the intended effect, because I thought his answer was really significant for expanding the thinking around this issue, because he did say from the stage, as so many people are forced to do, that the state of Israel has a right to exist. But then he said, as a state that supports equal rights for everybody there. And to me, that is so interesting in this conversation, because it's something that's just glossed over in this whole conversation about what a state should do for its citizens. Because this is an ethno-state, right? It's based on a religious hierarchy. And you have this candidate introducing that fact into the debate and saying that this candidacy is about sticking up for the Jewish people of New York City and making sure that they have equal rights, just like everybody should who lives within the borders of a state. So I thought that, that was a typical thing that we see media try to sink candidates like Zoran with. I thought he did a decent job of turning the conversation back to equal rights that should be afforded to everybody under any state that claims it has a right to rule over people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he did a really good job when he was, where was he? It was a roundtable discussion on one of the mainstream news organizations, and they were basically like, you know, asking about Israel, and he very openly is just like, I don't support any kind of religious ethno state. I don't think you should have a state based on your race or religion. And that's not hard. And the fact that, like, people in America who are galvanized against ISIS and radical groups trying to establish an Islamic caliphate, and now suddenly all of these people that were told it's an unacceptable thing to do in this millennium to have an ethnic or religious state, and suddenly now we all have to defend Israel's right to exist. That to me is so fascinating that, like, that so recently, after convincing people, like, and I'm not saying, oh, the violence of ISIS is totally legitimate. I'm just saying it's so hypocritical to say we have to defeat ISIS. They can't exist in our world. They can't even try and establish a religious state, but Israel should have one, and in fact, we're going to ensure it does. That's just crazy. And also, as the mayor of New York City, you're not running to be in the administration in a foreign policy decision-making role. It's just nuts.
Yeah, that's what really is kind of head turning about this. That so much attention and importance would be paid to the question of, like, are you going to leave this city, go to a foreign country, and is it going to be Israel? Because if it's not, then that's a bad thing from the debate stage. So what are you talking about here? We're running for mayor of New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially after the Israeli military was just shooting at that other group of folks from the EU went over there. It's like, I don't think I want to go on a trip to Israel. The IDF just almost shot other people invited on a trip to Israel, so doesn't sound like the best place for a vacation or a diplomatic voyage.
No, I don't think so.
Absolutely not. John, I want to hear about what you've been working on. John was just on a trip. He just got back. He's really tired. Where were you?
Oh, I am so tired. This very morning, I am not a morning person, but at 5 a.m, I woke up and I went to Dulles International Airport in the nation's capital to return back to my house with no AC. So that's why I look like I am currently in a K-hole. I am not. I wish I was. I was in Washington, D.C. because the Dropkick Murphys added another class war anthem called Who Will Stand With Us to their decades-long book of Irish folk punk music for working people. One of the lines in the song that they were playing there, we went out to cover this because there's other elements to this rally, but one of the lines in their new song, it goes, "We fight the wars and build the buildings for someone else's gain." It is a banger. They dropped this banger as they rallied on the National Mall with union organizers and veterans whose benefits have been gutted recently by the Trump regime. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is out there humping the flag and, pretending like he's the most patriotic thing since God dropped the bald eagle, while he's cutting the benefits of the veterans that he claims to love so much. And all of this was happening on D-Day, June 6th, the day that Americans dropped into Normandy to kick fascism's ass the last time around. So it was quite a mix. You had union organizers, the Dropkick Murphys, and veterans all out there singing about class war. And I went out there with More Perfect Union to cover it. We talked to a lot of people, but one woman definitely stood out. She was wearing an Operation Iraqi Freedom hat while she was standing in a giant inflatable Uncle Sam styled chicken suit. Now, I'm no fan of this like taco thing, but I could not help but talk to this lady and figure out more of what was going on. And she had a lot going on. It turns out she had crossed the border way back in the day. She was undocumented for a period of time. She served in Iraq. She was sworn in as a citizen in Saddam's palace after he fell. Then came home and, like a lot of other veterans, found out that the fight was not over. She served this country, fought abroad, came home and had to fight for herself, for her benefits. Just for basic care. She had psychology skills, and that took her all the way up to the NIH, National Institute of Health. And that brings us up to modern times. And her job there was cut by Doge. She was laid off. And as if that was not enough, she was also doxxed by the Heritage Foundation and their goons, a conservative think tank, who literally put up her LinkedIn picture on a website and labeled her a DEI threat. So this person standing at this rally, went through all of that, signed up, served, had to fight for herself, was contributing psychological care to veterans at the NIH, cut by Doge, and doxxed by a conservative think tank. I asked her what she thought about the masculinity of Donald Trump, and she definitely had some answers. I think she was saying those as Tammy Duckworth was on the stage, a woman who lost her legs in service to this country. And there, were countless interviews exactly like that. And to me, it was just the shoot was more confirmation that Trump and the billionaires that he surrounds himself with, they're just lying their asses off while they get crazy, stupid rich. And they'll go to any level to do that, including firing and doxing people who go through incredibly harrowing journeys in service to this country, right? So watch it when it drops in a couple of weeks. There's a lot in there about betrayal, about solidarity, about sacrifice, about class war, about Irish folk, punk music. Maybe you can merge those. But we talked to Ken Casey, lead singer of the Dropkick Murphys, and a bunch of other people like this woman. It was great.
That's really awesome. I can't believe that the Dropkick Murphys have become this like icon in the Trump era.
Yeah.
I was at the Vote Vets town hall in Cedar Rapids, and there was a guy wearing a jean vest with like Dropkick Murphys fighting fascism since whatever year. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, here, let's just do for the audience at home, I'm reaching back into my library, and I'm pulling out an old thing. It's a Dropkick Murphys cover, and you can see it on YouTube. And I'm dropping a bunch of shit. But, here it is. Cover of their album. Little guitar throwback to Woody Guthrie. This machine still kills fascists. The times get bad. The art gets better. Go put on some Dropkick Murphys.
So true. It's a good point. I think, yeah, when music and the movement meet, it's always great. I keep listening to the Bruce Springsteen Seeger sessions. It was a CD given to me by some Bernie volunteers, and they put me on game. Because I would never listen to Bruce, but now I love Bruce.
Oh, Bruce is a classic, baby.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Jessica, we just talked about all the things that I've been up to, talking to the Dropkick Murphys down in DC. What have you been working on lately?
I've been doing YouTube, making YouTube video, and now I am officially invited to apply to be a YouTube partner, which is really exciting.
Whoa.
Because that means that you actually get paid for the content you make.
Imagine that.
I don't right now. I'll get 9 million views on Instagram, and I make $4. So
that's insane.
This is actually huge for me. I just made a video about personalized pricing, which is a nightmare. They're using algorithms and our consumer data to charge us different prices. So based on what you've been searching, what things you've bought in the past, everything about you, they're trying to determine the highest possible price you're willing to pay and charge it to you. So that was my most recent piece of work on there.
I don't like that. I can
Check
look
that out.
rich, you know. They see me
Yeah.
coming with the mullet and the mustache. They're like, this guy's up on trends.
Mm-hmm.
Jack that guy's
Yeah.
prices up. Is he buying Dr. Bronner's?
He's got money.
Shake this man down.
Speaking of money, abundance, and join Team Normal. John has been following the abundance discourse.
Ugh.
They had a meetup. There's enough of them to have a little meetup. But there was one post, John, I saw. This is the only thing I saw of someone that was like, oh, this is supposed to be the big centrism conference, and it was an empty room. So that was really cool to see.
It's empty like the ideology, you know. I'll just reference a writer that I reference a lot. He's a bud. He's a favorite of mine. Hamilton Nolan has got a piece out. He went to this centrism conference and writes about it wonderfully on his Substack, How Things Work. And the piece is called What is Centrism? There's a quote in there that kind of summed it up for me, which is the right stands for something and the left stands for something, but the centrists stand for in between those things. Genius, right? The problem is, how do you get people to support a philosophy that doesn't inherently stand for anything? Their solution is attack the political philosophies, the other ones, as too extreme, leaving centrism by process of elimination. And because this is a contest for control of the Democratic Party, that means, in practice, attack the left. Which is what we are seeing play out, whether that's in the primary for the New York City mayor or some of the lukewarm responses to from the core establishment Democrats towards Bernie and AOC. We're going to see more of this as Gavin Newsom and Pete Buttigieg ramp up their campaigns. And I think his piece explains why that is pretty well. So what was this conference? It was a big glitzy conference in Washington, D.C., funded by elite political donors, where the whole point is to tell candidates to be normal and specifically to not sound like they just listened to a bunch of elite consultants in Washington, D.C. telling them how to be normal. And of course, elite universities, the Ivy League, were very well represented on these panels. Where the slogan in the background of these elite consultants is join Team Normal. So there you go. Elite consultants, Ivy League degrees, funded by all kinds of rich people. All of this hubbub just to tell people to relate to ordinary folks. It's great stuff. To really put a point on it, though, there's this clip of a facilitator at this meeting who is talking to one of the authors of Abundance, and he gets into an argument saying, when you really dig into it, when you look under the hood, the thing that is standing between us and abundance is labor unions. There was an extensive conversation where they just said the quiet part out loud. People have talked about the part in this book where they're like, well, do you want buildings to be built safely and to code so that the air is healthy in them, or do you want people to live under the highway? And really, when it gets to that, down to that problem and what they think is causing it, the answer is labor unions. So these abundance people who want to take over the control of the Democratic Party at a time when billionaires are running wild, like we just talked about in this whole podcast, those people want to start fighting back against the power of billionaires by wrecking the power of labor unions. Am I surprised? No.
So dumb.
It's so
dumb.
So
To have
dumb.
a conference like this where you're like, hey, everyone, just be normal. Be like a working class person, except run on a policy agenda that brings about a world that has absolutely crushed working people and made life in America miserable for them. It makes no fucking sense. And it's like the dying breath of the consultant class. And it's so funny to watch because they're so horrible at it and so cringe. And I don't think they know. I don't think they know how they look, how stupid they look doing this. I'm just grateful the future of our politics is the Sage Rage, Nathan Sage here in Iowa.
The Sage Rage.
Because the only answer to, an economy run for the ruling class is populism, is you have failed at bringing about a world and an economy that works for us, and you pulled the ladder out behind you so that no one else can be socially mobile, and we're sick of it. We're done with it. You had your chance to run the country well. You failed. And so we're going back to a government by and for the people. I just think that before Nathan Sage announced in the post-Trump 2024 win world, there was a void in leadership of like who the hell has a response for this? And I think Nathan like really is who has it. These centrists are so dumb. Nathan doesn't have to pretend to be a normal working class person because he is one. Like the idea that you can pretend to be a working class person when you're not, you didn't live that, is insane. Insane to think you can make an Ivy League consultant normal.
Yeah, and just to button up this whole conversation, I feel like what a time, what an opportunity we have for working class candidates to run on a working class agenda. With Trump and the richest man beefing, it is a gift to us all. A very fragile alliance is currently blowing up Jersey Shore style, like right in front of our eyes. You have, as I have mentioned, Trump, the one guy so far who has been able to weld the broke blue collar worker to the richest man alive. That's falling apart. Elon's out. He wants the other tech bros to follow. JD Vance is stuck in the middle of this, like his weird little donor created lab candidate that's, not really palatable to quote unquote normal people. Peter Thiel, who put JD Vance there, is trying to get him to sell ordinary people on this idea of freedom cities run by CEO kings. Like that's not just another way to put lipstick on the pig of a company town, right? That's all that is. Elon Musk is out there building company towns. And I just don't think the people who have been so concerned with surveillance, the feds tracking your guns or whatever. I don't think people who grew up worried about that, or who had a grandpa who was telling them about when he threw a brick through the windshield of his boss. I don't think those people are going to buy it without Trump doing the thing that he does, being the smokescreen to cover up for billionaires. That's what the billionaires are hoping that JD Vance can pull off. But Trump's voters do not like Peter Thiel's Palantir surveillance database, and they want more Social Security, not less. And you can literally watch Trump voters tell me that verbatim in some of the More Perfect Union pieces that I've done. So I think we have a once in a lifetime opening for working class candidates to go out there, to brawl, and to say it with your full chest. Screw the billionaires. We've tried trusting them. It didn't work. They have too much power, and the power should be ours. And I think people need to run on that. And there's an opportunity right now, like never before.
Yeah, and if anyone knows anyone who works security or in the Secret Service that might have access to security camera footage of the fight between Elon Musk and those guys, please, my signal is KA Burbank.77. We need to see it. I won't even post it if you don't want me to. I just want to see it.
Just for personal use. We'll describe it to you in audio format on the next JJ pod. Nash, over and out.
Goodbye. We love you. Goodbye.